Yeah, you know, Jahan's been doing it kind of all year long. Shorter's, I think, really starting to come on now again after having an injury, you know, earlier in the year. And Daniel's really done some good things. He's done some good things really since he's arrived. So I think those guys are still have an opportunity to factor in, but it's too early for us to make any decisions at this point.
James, how do you?
It's also good to see those guys. You know, last week that we weren't sure, you know, didn't play the second half, that they practiced, you know, really well. You know, I don't obviously get into injuries a whole lot, but those guys have practiced Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday now, so that's promising.
How do you think John Reed has held up over the last few weeks after kind of a shaky start to the season?
Good. Yeah, you know, I guess I wouldn't necessarily view it like that. You know, playing corner is a position where you got to have a short memory, and you're out there, you know, covering some of the best athletes in you know, in the country, on an island a lot of times. So I've been very pleased with John, and I think we all know too. You know, he had a year off in some ways. So you know, I'm very pleased with John, and I think he's going to continue to trend in the right direction.
To that point, how hard is it to evaluate a cornerback, maybe from our position, because Amani was on a bunch of mid-season all-conference teams and stuff like that, gave up 4 touchdowns in 4 games, but he's clearly one of your best corners. How do you evaluate that position with as hard as it is to play?
Yeah, I think you have to look at all those things. You have to look at how many plays are they making, how many plays are being made against them, who's making the plays. And also, you know, how many times are those guys in a challenging position. So you look at the best corners in the NFL, you look at the best corners in college football, that's going to happen. But he's made a bunch of plays as well, and I think that's kind of how it's got to be. You got to learn from it, you got to move on, and I think Amani's done that as well as anybody.
James, you've been a coach for almost 25 years now. Have you ever gone against a team in your career where the top 2 receiving targets were both tight ends? Just how unique is that?
It's probably more unique now. I think if you look at programs like Stanford, I think that's fairly common probably for them is tight ends. I think, you know, teams that run these style of offenses, they're really tight end driven. You know,
When's the last time you saw maybe, you know, this type of thing with Iowa?
When was the last time I've seen this?
When's the last time you've seen, you know, this offense, you know, this type of offense then, outside of seeing Iowa in the past?
Stanford. Yeah, I think Stanford, you look at, you know, what they do at the tight end position. I think typically these pro-style offenses, they're very tight end driven, but they're hard to find nowadays. Most tight ends in high school are big wide receivers that haven't blocked. So when you can find guys that can do both, like 38 does for them, it's challenging. But most of these teams that run this style of offense, true, you know, whether it's West Coast or pro style, whatever it is, they're very tight end driven. Whether it's a true tight end and whether it's an H-back or whether it's a true tight end and a fullback or whether it's 2 true tight ends and a fullback, they're very tight end driven.
Hey, Trey said yesterday, in the 6 years he's known you, you haven't changed. Where do you think you have changed?
I think,
as a head coach?
Yeah, I think Trace is probably talking about approach. You know, I don't think my approach has changed a whole lot. It's evolved. You know, I'm learning every single day. I'm challenged to make. You know, we do 2-minute. You know, every Wednesday, and we're in there doing 2-minute. And as you guys know, we use situations. I learn something every single day at practice. You know, we have discussions as a staff, how we handle this situation. We're constantly reading and watching other teams play and how they handle situations. So I think I'm constantly growing and evolving. I think I'll be that way, you know, 25 years from now. I think when you feel like in this game that you got it all figured out, you got problems. You better be constantly kind of challenging yourself as much as you possibly can. You know, but I think our process and kind of how we go about things and my demeanor, I try to be the same guy every single day. Whether my wife's mad at me or not, I don't try to bring those things to the office. I try to come in and be the same type of guy because that sets the tone for the whole office. If the head coach comes in and he's in a bad mood, everybody's walking on eggshells. If I come out to practice and I bring bad energy, it brings. So I'm very aware of my demeanor that I try to bring to the office every single day, and that I try to bring to the practice field every single day, and the meeting rooms and things like that. So I think that's probably what Trace is talking about. But I think I've evolved a lot since Vanderbilt. I think all the way back to Vanderbilt seems like an eternity. And we were talking as a staff, that game in Ireland, it seems like 10 years ago. It seems like 10 years ago. So it's I think we're constantly evolving.
James, with a team-leading 6 catches on Saturday against Indiana, Miles Sanders broke through in the passing game a little bit. How does that open up the passing offense for you guys, and then what does it do for him, gaining confidence in that aspect of his game that hadn't been there, early in the year?
Yeah, we just got to get more guys involved. Right now Trace is carrying too much of the load, on offense. So I thought Miles last week probably played his best game, most complete game. That is also in the passing game. Part of it was we went into it. We had some opportunities that we saw on film formationally that we felt like we could take advantage of it. So we did have some things kind of with that in mind. So that helped. But I think in general, we just got to get more guys involved. And when you're able to work through your progression in college football, if number 1's not open in college football, typically 2 or 3 are nude. So if you can work through your progression, your 3rd or your 4th progression, and take the back on a check down, usually there's opportunities for really, really big plays there. So it's nice to see that kind of starting to happen for us. And we need more of that at the tight end position, and wide receiver, and kind of spread the wealth.
You've been a head coach longer than some of your assistants have been assistants. Does that present challenges, having guys that are 10 years younger than you in that? And how do you see your role in staff development and player development?
Yeah, I'm becoming the old guy, which is amazing to me, because I never really kind of viewed myself that way. But I'm becoming kind of one of the veteran guys, which is strange. But yeah, I think there's constant There's constant discussions in our staff meeting. That you guys see, during practice. You guys probably, see me when you guys come out here. I'm constantly writing notes down in the back of my practice shell. I'm not a guy that's gonna coach the coaches during practice. Some head coaches are scream at the coaches during practice or those types of things. I write notes down. Sean Spencer always says he hates to see the red pen come out. I'm writing notes down. I'm writing notes that I see at practice. I'm writing notes that I see with the players. I'm writing notes that I see with the coaches. And then that's what we talk about when we go in and watch film, and that's what we talk about in the staff meeting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We kind of go through those things. So that is based on places I've been, experiences that I've had, things that I've coached. And a lot of times it's perspective. A lot of times I'm asking questions. So I think all those things are important. We spend a lot of time talking about that even as coaches, offense to defense. Our defensive coaches have a responsibility to challenge our offensive coaches, and we've kind of created a culture for that. It's funny because I had another college coach that I talked to this week, and it's a coach that Sean Spencer worked for before, and he was talking about kind of the differences. And some head coaches, you kind of never know where you stand with them, and that's kind of Sean's thing. He's like, with you, we always know specifically where you stand because of how we kind of go about our business. So we've created an environment where guys will come in and talk to me. I try to do that with them as well, and I think it created a really good environment over the last 8 years. It's evolved and it's grown. It helps that most of us have pre-existing relationships, and there's trust there. So you can have hard conversations with people, and they know it's coming from the right place.
James, you mentioned after the game the other day that there are some real positives on special teams, but also some areas that you have to kind of tighten up. How do you go about addressing that in the course of a season? Because I'm sure you're very limited in the amount of time you can devote to that practice, or are you?
Yeah, for us, I think we probably devote as much time as any place I've been, and we've done that all my years as the head coach. That's meeting time as well as practice time. But it's a challenge. But I think what we try to do is you look at the percentage of plays in a game, and that percentage should be equal to the amount of time that you spend, whether it's in meetings and whether it's in practice and camp and things like that. So we try to kind of balance it. It's too important. You look at this year, all the big plays that we've had, both for us and against us. You better get it covered, and some weeks are more challenging than others. So we spend a lot of time on it. Phil does a real good job. We have also other guys like Sam Williams and you know, Larry Lewis, who are very involved as well, and you know, it's something we really believe in. That's a big part of what we do Monday night after we have our family dinners. We come back and we have a staff 7 o'clock staff meeting when it comes to special teams. So you know, we invest a lot of time.
James, there's obviously been some fan frustration over the 21 drops so far this season. So, I mean, how do you evaluate someone like David Corley, you know, kind of as a result of that?
Yeah, you know, I think obviously we look at all the coaches and how productive we're being. We also look at the players and how productive they're being, and we all own some responsibility in it. There's some balls that we could make better throws. There's some catches we can make more consistent catches. There's no doubt about it. There's some coaching and fundamentals and development that we can be better. It's all of it. You know, it is all of it. I do see some receivers that I think have gotten better. You know, so it's. Well, we evaluate everything, and I get the frustration. I will tell you this. I remember a guy by the name of Mike Gesicki that people were frustrated, you know, with, and we kept believing in Mike Gesicki and kept trusting him, and partly because of the investment that you guys don't see. When these guys aren't in class and I walk down to get a Gatorade and Mike Gesicki's on the jugs machine. And I don't want to get into specific names, but I see that with our guys now. And I just believe in our guys and how much they invest. And we're just going to keep loving them and keep coaching them up. And it's going to turn for them because I know how much they invest. And I saw it with Mike Gesicki, and I believe in our guys as well. And I know they're going to make plays for us on Saturday.